Do your leads suck? Would you like to possibly 3x your business in the next 18 months? The solution is not more ads. The solution is not billboards. It is following up, being better at intake. Whether you're an attorney or any other business, that is what you need to do. And we're going to tell you exactly how to do it, how to improve your intake, what you're doing wrong today. I've got Shannon and Will from FecundFig. Say hi.
Hi.
We're going to go over exactly how they help and how to start doing this the right way so you can not only close more deals, but enjoy your business more, make more money, and stop burning cash. All this on the Garlic Marketing Show. Of course, it's brought to you by videocasestory.com. One of the best ways to follow up is with customer stories. Go to videocasestory.com/finder so you can find those perfect case stories to follow up. All right, let's get started. So tell us, first of all, before we get into it and the secrets to it, how did you all, tell me a little bit about the business and how you all figured out how important this was.
All right. So I've had the business for a little over 15 years now. And I actually, when I first got started, I was part of basically a sales training franchise turned kind of business coaching. And for the first 12 years or so, it was really just consulting and kind of coaching on sales processes. And we worked with a lot of different types of clienteles, did a lot of networking and groups like BNI and the local chamber, and so a lot of small businesses. And then I'd worked with a couple of attorneys, but it's probably about 9 years ago, one of them reached out to me specifically and said, I need some help because I pay all this money for all these Google leads, and none of them ever convert into clients. So I'm not sure if the leads suck or my intake sucks. And I said, it's probably both, but let's figure it out. Yeah. And so went in, and sure enough, the intake did suck. And the scripting was bad. And so we went in and fixed that and got the conversion rates up. And
how long ago was this?
This was about 9 years ago.
So people were still answering the phone. Law firm.
Oh, man, they still do that.
It's
absolutely.
It's crazy to me.
Absolutely still do that.
I call them up, I'm like, really?
Like, which law firm am I speaking with? And so, and you know where that comes from. And so many times, small firms use the same space, and so they'll share a receptionist. And so, they may be separate attorneys, but one subleasing from somebody else.
I never knew that.
Share but they share the thing, and because they only have one phone line, that they would do that. Now, they should not be doing that because they can get call rail or all these other things to be able to indicate.
There's so much you can do now.
But
you can have AI doing a good job.
Oh man, AI receptionist is the next thing we're rolling out, folks.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the first take, and then it kind of grew out of that because then after we did fix the intake, we said, okay, yeah, these leads and particularly the landing page sucked, and so we kind of got into consulting on marketing strategy and then into branding because I grew up on a farm, and so I started to kind of see all this relate to just how we would grow stuff on the farm, where branding's kind of like preparing the soil, creating this environment, marketing is like planting a seed, and then the intake and the lead management is that whole cultivation process between when that seed germinates and when you actually harvest something at the end. And so what I tell people now is, a lot of folks, especially down in Miami, there was this very famous little, people would call it Amish farm. They weren't really Amish, but
Miami Amish.
Yeah, something like that. German Baptist.
German Baptist.
They
okay.
had the bonnets, had the beards.
Okay.
But still used electricity and all this stuff. But you can go and do you-pick strawberries and get strawberry milkshakes and cinnamon rolls. It's called Nosberry Farms. But everybody would go down at least once in their life, and they would have this experience of being able to pick ripened strawberries right off the bush or tomatoes or whatnot. Yeah. So everybody loves the harvest and really appreciates that. And everybody can remember planting a seed in a cup when they were like third grade, even if they've never done any other gardening. And so they kind of understand that process of generating something from the beginning, but then nobody knows what happens in between. And I find that's the same when it comes to these law firms and other businesses too. But they understand they need to market and brand and have a website and maybe have ad companies, all these other things to generate leads, and they know they need to be able to convert when it comes to the consultation, but then what's happening in between, there's not a lot of focus and attention put on that, and that's where everything generally falls apart.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of questions. So, because, there's always you've got 45 minutes to call that person, follow up,
I mean, you're looking at a lot of law firms, and what's the lead time like before when someone contacts you to when you need to talk to them? Like, how fast do you need to do that?
So I'll say that it kind of depends. We have what we call the spectrum of urgency with practice areas in law.
Okay, I love that.
So like
Yeah.
Criminal defense, personal injury,
Yeah.
super urgent. Nobody wants to talk to one of those guys
I got
until
some
they need
stories
it.
about that.
And then on the other end of the spectrum is like estate planning, where
Yeah.
I know people who have paid estate planning retainers, and it's taken them 2 years just to get their documents in. It's like the least urgent thing ever.
Yeah,
So
because we're never gonna die.
right, and there we were just talking to actually one of my very first lawyer clients made me feel really old because her son, who was in high school when I first worked with her, has now come full circle and is like an attorney in the firm.
Oh my gosh.
And I happened to meet him randomly at another networking event, and so it restarted this conversation. And they do condo association law, and so it's also very different, like not transactional at all. As soon as they get a client, like they're going to be at least a year, but like she's had clients for 20 years with the firm, and so I was asking her about intake, and she's like, "Oh no, people still call my cell phone, and like there is no intake, other than the paralegal answers the phone and schedule it because they don't get a lot of lead flow either." So we'll kind of look at kind of understanding what is the firm, what is the lead flow, what are their goals and trying to be. But generally speaking, even if they're falling in the middle of that, if people aren't answering the phone immediately, if they're doing cold internet traffic, like that's gone. It's gone right after.
No one
like,
remembers who they are.
If they don't, if they get the notification afterwards, or we can put in like, missed call, text back kind of thing, something to that effect. If they don't have them on the line within 5 minutes, like there's little chance of them catching that. If it was something very, very urgent and that person was looking to hire right now.
Yeah. You just had a question. Right.
Yeah. They're going to go and find somebody else. So we're big advocates of like voicemail should not be a thing for new clients. There needs to be people answering the phones live. If you don't have enough people to do that and you're getting overflow, there needs to be backup in the firm. That could be the paralegal or a legal assistant. And like beyond that, then you get one of those answering services, or Smith AI, Lex Reception. There's a lot of those. I don't really like those for front end, but as an overflow, it's better than going to voicemail.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know because I've had criminal defense clients, and they're like, "Well, the leads don't, they're bad leads." I'm like, "So these people are calling on Saturday night." They're like, "Yeah, I called them back on Monday." I'm like, "Yeah, they're in jail
because they've already been arraigned. Like, let's go here."
Somebody else.
Yeah, like I want to get out of jail now,
Right.
Not when you're done with dinner.
Right. Exactly. Like no.
Yeah, that's.
And they don't remember their names.
Oh no.
I mean, I forget some of my clients' names.
They went down. They used their one phone call and said, "Hey, babe, find me a criminal defense attorney." Like if they're going to call off of that. Like the only exception that I've seen to that is if they do have a strong referral game and somebody's calling in specifically because they were referred, then maybe they'll wait to get a call back, or if it went through an email or something like that. And that's actually, I think, why most of these attorneys say the leads are bad, is because they when you start out, you're used to doing contract work for somebody else, and then you're networking and you build up those relationships, and it kind of spoils you, and then they want to go into cold internet marketing, and it's completely different.
Yeah, they're 100%. It's the lie of the referrals, right? It's like I see this all the time. I'm like, they're like, "I'm a good salesperson. I close 85%." But all my leads are referrals. I'm like, you're closing in spite of your ability.
Yeah.
Not, they're like, "Oh, this person's kind of scary," but Jody said they were great.
Right. That person lent you their trust when they referred you, and like already. It's like you got to have that emotional side and the rational side in the sales process. And if somebody comes to you, really warmly referred, and especially from another attorney or somebody that they trust, like most of that's already been taken care of. It's yours to lose at that point.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what about email leads? Because more and more people are, either submitting an email form or even texting, doing some text form, or fill out a form somewhere else. What is the best way to be following up with those?
So I also like to have, and we will put in a CRM system sometimes for folks, but generally same thing. Like it needs to be a notification that goes to an intake specialist or receptionist, whoever you've got in the firm, that they can follow up within 5 minutes. And that's one of the hardest things for people to even wrap their mind around. It's like, oh, I'll get back to them later today. And if they're not doing at least a text message back, which these days can be automated, like it's going to be lost.
Yeah. No, and yeah, people forget. I know that because like with Facebook ads, and they're like, well, all these leads are bad. I'm like, yeah, because they filled it out, and they're like, okay, and they forgot where they filled it out. No one remembers where they came from or where they saw you, right? And so when you all, let's talk about like when you all put the entire system in, and then we'll talk a little bit about the entire system. When you put the entire system in, what's the change in the results for the clients?
We were actually just talking about this this morning, planning all this out. Why don't you take that one, dear?
So so the clients we've already been working with, we ask them like what is the most immediate things that you notice, and the biggest thing that they've responded is really the scripting and the training of their team. I mean, something as simple as how you answer the phone, like you said, instead of saying "so it's a law firm" or "how can I help you," which you've just opened the floodgates for them to most of the time trauma dump their issues by just adjusting the script to, are you calling about a legal matter? Are you a new client? Are you existing? Like guiding the client, so you're giving them, they feel like they're being heard and understood, but you're kind of guiding the process to quickly qualify them. They're able to turn over those calls in a matter of like 10 minutes versus like getting on a call for like 30, 40 minutes because these people are just going on and on and on about their issues. And then just to find out you can't even take them in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's been the biggest thing that our clients have immediately said is like just the scripting. And then we do some one-on-one training with their team on like how to implement this, how to handle objections, how to quickly identify those clients that, yes, are going to be good quality leads to then get them booked into a consult with the attorney. That's like the first immediate thing that they notice.
And yeah, because I can see that. Because I know, like throughout the years of doing this and working with attorneys, like once the lead volume comes up too, the staff starts to complain.
Oh yeah.
They're like, oh, this is sucking up my whole day talking to these people, and then the attorneys complain, well, the leads are bad and they take up all of our time. Just because that's a great point. They just don't know how to talk to them.
Yeah.
How to evaluate them and how to shut it down if it's not a good lead and help them out. But you can do stuff. I know a lot of attorneys do stuff with the leads that are not qualified too, right?
Yeah, like we actually will have them, a lot of them do have a list of referral sources. So if it's something that maybe it's a practice area that they don't take, like maybe it falls under family law, but it's not one that they'll refer it out to an attorney that does do that specific practice area. Or a lot of attorneys also will have other attorneys in different practice areas altogether that they can refer them like, oh, actually, you're calling about this. That you actually need to talk to this attorney and refer them. So they still are building that kind of trust and credibility so that then if that person like does need them, like, oh, well, I remember so-and-so because they actually pointed me in the direction. They were helpful when they didn't have to be.
Love that.
And so they've already kind of built up some of that credibility.
And like one of the deliverables at the end when we try to work with folks is a nice solid intake manual that they've got all these SOPs in for what to do in all these different scenarios. They've got the script. So now when they need to scale their intake team, and we kind of help them analyze like, all right, when you get to this kind of call volume, you need to look at hiring somebody else. Now they can train that person and get them onboarded much faster. And so having that, what Shannon's talking about, those referral lists are, an integral part of that. If we're doing the CRM integration, we can build the automation. So it's like, oh, you need this? Like, would you like an introduction, or would you just like us to pass you their information? And we can set up automations to send that out. And so now you're tracking your referral partners. And then sometimes it's just as easy as like the Florida bar line. Like, at the very least, give them the Florida bar line so you're not telling this person, sorry, we can't help you. Because
or legal aid or something like
that.
Yeah,
and because one of the craziest things is people will go online and leave bad reviews, 1-star reviews for a law firm, simply because of the intake process. And we've seen people get 5-star reviews because they were so helpful, even though they couldn't help me.
Exactly. I mean, that's
Yeah.
so valuable.
Yeah.
Those reviews are everything right now,
Yeah.
and everyone's struggling to get them, or they're cheating and paying for them.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That's a completely different podcast.
Yeah. And I won't get into that, but I love, because there's so much value in that. When we talk about that, I call it the green zone. That's where the money is made.
Oh yeah.
And people are so focused, like way over here.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, we don't know how to talk to them, how to apply to them, how to follow up with them.
They'll invest all this money in marketing, but they won't take the time and the resources to invest it in their intake
And
first.
to use a football analogy, I'll say like your marketing team is like your offense that gets you down to the red zone.
Yeah.
But then it's up to your intake team and the attorneys themselves to take it across the goal line, and no points are scored in the red zone unless you actually do something else. And so then they get aggravated at marketing companies like, oh, these leads aren't converting, but you didn't have the processes to do something with as well. And then like on the unqualified leads, even if you can't refer them out, like all those people need to go into the database, because even if nothing else, you can build audiences to make better, have better targeting and say like, all right, these people, exclude this audience of these people, or include more of these people that are moving it down. And that usually gets, on the more technical side with the marketing stuff, but it's still valuable to have those people. And even if you just drop them into a newsletter,
Exactly.
who knows what they're going to need in the future.
And newsletter is so valuable, and it's like amazing to me how few people email their list.
Oh yeah.
And so when it comes, let's talk a little bit about that, because someone, do you all help with onboarding once they become a client, or?
So generally, we'll kind of consult on that. I actually just told somebody this today. Like, we will consult on operations as far as it affects sales.
Yeah.
And so we'll somewhat times get into the onboarding, what's happening between there. But after that, in terms of like legal practice, we're not coaching them. But we will say like, all right, you should have a pre-onboarding meeting with your client happiness coordinator if they're a big enough firm to have something like that, because the attorneys are experts, and their biggest problem in sales is they usually just want to get in and focus on the facts and the problem and let me create a solution and a strategy, and they are forgetting all of the other experienced problems that people have. Kind of like when you go to the dentist and you've got a toothache, the dentist wants to get in and figure out, or do you have an abscess, or you got all these things. You don't really care about that. What you really care is that you're in discomfort and it's keeping you away from work or your kids, or you're not paying attention to all those other things. Those are your problems. But the dentist is going to focus on the root problem, and attorneys do the same thing. They want to get in and figure out the legal structure and strategy of how to pursue this case, and sometimes forget that, this person also needs a referral to a realtor because they're going to have to sell their house, or maybe they need that therapist or something else. And so if they can have those structures built into onboarding to make sure that people are holistically cared for, then that's going to work out much better for them on the end, and people are going to not have the buyer's remorse or some of the other issues.
And everyone has buyer's remorse at some level, shape, or form. And because we talk about marketing, and so often it's like we think marketing happens, and then okay, we've got the lead, now sales happens. Okay, we close the deal. Now we're working with them, but really you should be marketing to the people the whole time, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It all has to work together.
Yeah. And so how do you think about that once someone raises their hand, and make sure that you're still building value automatically besides just the intake?
So to take it back to my analogy of client cultivation, right? Intake is kind of in the middle, and then we will consult on their sales process. And sometimes attorneys will want to do like non-attorney salespeople, and that can work in certain practice areas and different sizes of firms. It's still kind of a touchy subject, but I would definitely consult with the attorneys themselves on helping them to make a better sales process. But then we'll go through and we talk about propagation, which is how do you get additional sales out of that sale. So that could be a referral, that could be a testimonial, a video testimonial, that could be or just the review, like what is the process that you have in place to actually get those things, because then that turns around and becomes your branding, which you can put back out and use in marketing and everything else. And so a really good example we just had with one of our clients, Like, I believe in long-term follow-up. So somebody,
Yeah.
and we have a lot of family law attorneys as
Oh my
clients.
gosh, yeah, they need it because it's like sometimes like 3
Six-
4 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so
Average
we've
is
seen,
about 6 months.
yeah, we've
average
seen
is-
market research of people that actually hired an attorney. Not most. Most still make the decision after consulting with an attorney within about 2 weeks.
Oh really? Okay.
But it's right about half, and then about a quarter are somewhere between 2 weeks and 6 months, and
Yeah.
then another quarter are 6 months to 2 years.
Yeah.
And so, half of your people are making these long things, and most people just follow up like 3 times after the consultation with a phone call or maybe a text. And then a whole half of them are going to need additional follow-up. So we say at least 6 months, 26 weeks of follow-up need to happen. And that has to be differentiated, because a woman coming in seeking a divorce is in a different position altogether than a man that is coming in and been served with divorce
Oh,
papers.
100%. Yeah.
Right? Or a guy coming in looking to establish paternity, right? Or somebody who's already been divorced, and now they're trying to modify something, right? All different scenarios, all different services. Like, you can't have the same, like, if you just send me 26 weeks talking about how great your firm is, like, that's not really going to move me.
That's when
Right.
you're like, email's bad. I'm like, yeah, because you're just talking about yourself. No one wants to hear it.
Right. If you actually are delivering value that is specific, and we say this beyond, like, the newsletter is catch-all for everybody. At least once a month you're sending something general about the firm. You can talk about things, share those articles.
Pictures of a family trip.
Yeah. But that more focused, targeted follow-up and nurture type sequence needs to be as specific to that person who came in and had a consultation with you as possible. And so if we can build those things out, the interesting thing is the content that we often create in those follow-up sequences also now doubles over, because it's the same kind of questions. Do you understand my problem? Do you understand why it's a problem for me? Do you understand the outcome that I want? And the more they can talk about those scenarios, it's going to just come right over and fit into their general social media content or anything else. So we can give them those kind of ideas and everything, but then we don't get into like production and all that stuff.
But it's so important. It's like that type of follow-up, because you never know, right? The timing thing. And also, like, I say this all the time, no matter what business you're in, someone comes to meet you for the first time, you're spewing all this information at them.
Oh, yeah.
And they're only getting this little bit. And you got to tell them again and again. I mean,
Well, the
Oh
crazy
my
thing
gosh.
is, go ahead.
No, it's just funny because like that's what like we've done. We've done some like content strategy for so one of our other clients, and he was like, I feel like I'm just talking about the same thing over and over again. I'm like, you're right, you are, because people have to hear the same message over and over in different ways before it actually is going to like register. So yes, he's like, this seems so boring. I just keep talking about the same topics. I'm like,
Because like not that many
Correct.
people are seeing it either, right?
Yeah,
It's
like,
I just saw some reel of like Mr. Beast, like some kids in India stopped him, and like they were posting 100 times a day to Instagram. Now they built this massive following, but people are like, oh, don't post too much, you'll wear out that. 100 times a day.
100 times a day.
It was crazy, and it's like, even if you have most attorneys that I deal with smaller firms,
Yeah.
solo practices, maybe they've got a couple associates, but they've got a few thousand people on their social media. Maybe they got 2,000 or 3,000 on Instagram or something like that. And it's like, all right, you post this reel, like 3%, like 30 people might see it. And if it doesn't pick up and
And
go
even
on,
if they see it, they don't remember.
yeah, they're not going to remember it because they were flicking through Instagram, like looking at
Yeah.
God knows what.
Or one of their objections is like, well, but I know so and so is a competitor in my area, and they talk about these things, and it's really like it's not like we do much different. It's the same thing, and it's like, okay, but again, like it's your voice, it's your experience, and again, the people that are seeing hers is not going to be seeing yours, and like you still need to. But they're like, well, they use that excuse as not to create content. Well, because it's already out there, it's already been done. I'm like, do you know how many people are posting? Like, how many influencers are out there that are all doing the same thing, that are all still building
Just
audiences?
copying each other's stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
100%.
Like, yeah, it's like, oh
Exactly.
yeah, I just saw that again and again.
So
and
it's like,
again.
no, like you have a specific audience. You need to be creating your own content. Yes, obviously, divorce and paternity and personal injury. Yes, a lot of the law is still the same, but your experiences with your clients and your,
And sometimes just your personality and the way
Right.
you look
We all
will
look so
resonate
different.
with something. Yeah.
exactly like what's a good fit for this person's not going to be a good fit for you, and so that's why we encourage competition in the marketplace, because there's enough for everybody.
Everyone
So,
can choose. Yeah. I mean, there's like 40 different flavors of vanilla, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can use stories too.
Very important. Very important.
Yes.
Well, this is awesome. So, tell me a little bit about how you all work. And so, you work only with attorneys, or do you work with all professionals?
So the 90% of our clients are attorneys. We still have a couple of legacy clients,
Okay.
but even like one of those is a litigation support company, so
Yeah.
like legal adjacent.
Yeah.
So
But
in short terms, yes, we work with law firms.
yeah, we grow law firms. That's our new
Yeah,
branding. That is
yeah.
our focus. It's happened organically over time, but all the clients that we are actively pursuing are
Yeah.
law firms.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so, what's the process of working with you all?
So the first thing that we will do is just a basic Q&A call, just to kind of understand where they're at and to get an idea of what their biggest constraint in terms of sales, marketing, branding is. And sometimes, like the person we met with earlier today, like they just didn't even have a plan. They didn't know where they wanted their firm to be in 3 years. And so it's like, all right, let's go back and do some strategic planning first and get a clear focus on how big, in what, that we're going to
Where do you
grow.
want to go?
Right.
As far as us niching down, though, our best clients to work with, they recognize that the biggest problem that they have is that intake and lead management problem. Sometimes they don't always realize that up front, because we've had a client who said, "Yeah, I just want to be able to 3x my firm in the next 3 years." And then we get in and kind of do our consultation and initial audit of the whole process, and we're like, you realize if you just fixed your billing over here and you fix your intake
here.
conversion, like you would already be able to 3x
Yep.
this year.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of blew their mind that it wasn't necessarily going to take as long as they thought.
Yeah.
But then and other times people will come in and is like, no, intake is my biggest problem. I listened to some of the calls and I'm mortified. And
Yeah. Well,
that-
it's good that they did. 'Cause
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've argued with people, and they're like, "It's fine for me to talk that way." I'm like, the person even asked for their email address. They just sent them to the website to put it. I was like,
And so that's usually the first big thing is we need a better term for it than audit, but it's usually an audit. So we'll go do secret shops, or we'll get inside if they have recording turned on. A lot of times they don't have recording turned on whatever the phone system is, but we'll do call reviews, analyze it. Usually the first step is, all right, let's map out this process and actually understand what it is, because some of them, they don't have a case evaluation to pre-qualify the leads, and that's one of the reasons they complain, right? Is like, oh, I'm getting all these consultations, but
They're garbage.
They're garbage. Well, right, you got to screen out stuff ahead of time, and so we need to have the receptionist qualifying people, and then an intake specialist qualifying people at a greater degree, and then maybe you even have a two-step sales process. It kind of depends on the size of the firm and what their practice area is. But we'll map out that process, and then we'll get into scripting for reception, intake, the attorneys themselves and their consultations, whatever the follow-ups need to be, because you can have email and text and stuff like that. We'll build those processes, but just the phone calls to check in, 3 months after the consultation, you've been getting all these emails. Are you still looking for a divorce, or whatever the practice area may be? And then beyond the follow-up sequences, which is kind of the lead management and all that process, then we'll go in and make sure that all the KPIs, and they actually have a cadence for monitoring stuff. So if they're not recording the calls, they can have us. We'll review calls for them and give them the feedback, and we'll provide coaching and training to the intake team. Go through, hey, you're using a bad tonality here. We need to adjust this. And they'll come and say, oh, people hit me with this, or they went off script. How do I get them back on script? And so we provide a group coaching session once a month, though, even after they've worked on us on just kind of fixing intake, they can still have access.
Yeah.
To
So we'll
come
do
back.
right. So part of it is, so like Will said, we'll do part of it is they get some one-on-one training, And then once they've gotten that one-on-one, they move over into a group training where any of our intake clients can put their intake members into a group session. So that way we can like review calls together, we can go over the scripts, we can handle objections, anything they want to bring to us.
They do role playing with each other.
Exactly.
And so they get an outside perspective of it's, not just the boss, it's not just the consultant.
Right.
It's actually somebody else from another firm that's in their same kind of role. So
Yeah.
that helps out a lot. And then beyond that, depending on what they need and where they're at, we'll give them some type of tracking system. I've had 7-figure law firms that still ran everything, lead management and case management, off of spreadsheets and a Dropbox folder. And that can work, not very scalable, but
We don't recommend for long term.
we don't recommend it. But definitely starting out, that's
better
fine.
than a
Than
log
nothing.
book.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing in that. And while they're a small and a solo, and they've got one legal assistant and maybe a paralegal or something like that, that probably still works.
Right.
But eventually they need to get into a CRM, something that can automate a lot of those features, provide some of the other things. And we refer to those as like the system that holds the process that we've created that they're doing manually right now. Now can we amplify that with a CRM? And so we'll actually help them put one in place and build it out. Some of them come in and they already have some other ones in place, and so we can help consult on that a little bit, but we usually like to put in one that we white label and have already developed
Gotcha.
with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, just that coaching piece alone, because I know, they don't know, but also coaching your team on something you're not good at is a whole nother skill set.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, that's amazing. That's worth the price of admission. But this is awesome. So where should people get in touch with you, and where should people follow you?
So our website is FecundFig.com, and you can schedule a Q&A call directly off the website.
And you guys will answer right away and follow up.
Yeah, that's the
they
key
can
thing.
book
We
right
get those
away
notifications, like Shannon's phone rings, like all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
comes
Nice.
directly to
And
my
the
phone.
rest of our team, and then, but usually they book a call straight away from that, but then they can follow us. It's FecundFig pretty much everywhere.
Everywhere.
Instagram,
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube,
Yep. And
LinkedIn.
and you have a podcast too.
Yes, so
And
we do
so-
have a podcast, which is kind of off kind of the law part, but we, as a married couple running a business together, it's just been a very unique experience that a lot of people don't understand, and it can be very lonely and isolating. So kind of turned into like a group therapy for me, talking to other married couples who are in business together and kind of learning their journey and their experiences and how they've handled, decision making or, who gets the final say
Yeah.
or roles and, roles and responsibilities. And
it was a little bit of a pivot. So when I started it and did about 2 seasons of it before Shannon got involved with it, and so it's called the Pollinator Podcast because the idea was to interview people like yourself, other folks in marketing or different kind of tactical experts to come in and share tips and pollinate your own growth strategies. But after Shannon came on board, just what she said, she's like, I really want to interview some other folks. So this whole season has been just interviewing other married couples.
Yeah.
That are
It's
in
a lot of
business
fun.
together.
I've got a pair of friends. They're not married, but they bicker so much. They're business partners, and I've been begging them. It's actually a podcast company. I've been like, because every time I'm with them, they bicker so much. It's amazing. It's hilarious. I'm like, I feel like you guys should have them on the podcast and just listen to them bicker, because I'll listen to that for like 3 hours. But Jeremy, I'm talking to you. Jeremy Weiss, Rise 25. Awesome. So we'll put a link to all that in the show notes. Thank you so much for being on, Will and Shannon. Thank you so much. And
No, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
FecundFig.com. Make sure to check them out. And folks, if you're not doing half this stuff, you're just throwing away money. If you hate money, then that's fine. Don't do this stuff. But otherwise, give them a call. Go to FecundFig.com. Give them a call. Follow up. Make more money. Thank you for making us part of your story. It's been Iron Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.